my god, it is time again.
Make fire! Make fire!
Oh, it's
I hit it on the mark!
oh my
This
god.
only seems like, what, a month ago since we did one of these? I mean, it makes sense because we set this up as our immediately following stream theme challenge. We'll probably make the next one a quote-unquote fun one. Your mileage may vary. Probably like a... I don't know. Maybe I could buy one of those like $600 binaural ear microphones.
Hello?
That are literally shaped by like the human ear.
Hello?
And then I could maybe like squelch things into it. You would like that, wouldn't you? I mean, there has to be a reason why those types of streamers, ASMR streamers, get like 600 viewers, right? I mean, I gotta be missing something. Gotta be missing something. You should say hi to my wife before she gets dejected. Hi, Shumi.
You're not allowed to be in here today, he says.
You're not. Nobody's. I didn't say that.
He said, if you come in the room, I'm going to blast you out.
I said I was gonna leg sweep you. I didn't say that I was going to do anything else to you. I'm just saying is that I've never leg swept somebody before, but there's a first time for everything.
All right, so before I get leg swept, hi chat, hi everybody, hi jokers, hi Franny, hi Hokobishu.
Lloyd Tupo is in here.
Who?
Lloyd Tupo? You're not familiar with them.
I'm not familiar with that name. What?
Lloyd Tupo.
Hi, Lloyd Tupo.
There you go, you nailed it.
Hello. All right, before he actually hurts me, not
I'm
actually,
not gonna.
He would never hurt me.
Jokingly.
Before he jokingly hurts me, I'm going to leave the room. I'll come say goodbye because I'm leaving for the night. Well, not for the night. I'm leaving soon to
I'll just destroy everything you love. That's what we're satisfying.
Oh, hi, Lloyd Tupo. I see you now. Hello. All right, I'll leave you alone. Sorry. Love you, chat. Bye.
It does it for me way more if I just systematically destroy everything that the person is emotionally attached to. You know, like a good Stoic does. Alright, let me take off these sakis. It's gonna get freaking hot in here. Is she okay? I see. Not in me, just in the spokes of my chair. Alright, let me check for the music volume. Music volume's about where I want it to be. Okay, alright, let's do some shit. Okay? Let's do some shit. We all have gray matter in our brains, right? And we wanna reconfigure them using an ancient Greco-Roman philosophy, 2,000 years old, said we can deal with modern day problems and such. So let's fucking do it already. So like other Stoicism stream specials, on top of talking about self-help life advice strats that are just general enough to apply to whatever might be bothering you today or tomorrow or yesterday, a little or a lot, this stream is gonna double function like you chatter are just hanging out and drinking coffee, and we're just talking about our brains and how they work. I set up links to an anonymous sign-up list feedback site called Tailgram that you can plug questions you have anytime about anything into. I'm going to be periodically checking that site to make sure that if there are any questions that you are sensitive about and that you don't necessarily want tied to your Twitch username or what have you, there's no registration. You don't have to type in anything except for whatever chosen name you just want me to read out, and whatever your question or your statement is. I'm gonna be grabbing the appropriate ones. I haven't had any inappropriate ones, thankfully. Surprisingly, shockingly, I'm mainly prepared for like possible troll responses, but no, everybody's been well adjusted, which for the internet is really good. It's really good for the internet to be well adjusted when they're told, hey, you can just completely anonymously put anything in this field and it'll be fine. They typically respond with their baser instincts when prefaced that way. But everybody has been good. Everybody has been fine. I'm gonna, for base covering purposes, I'm not accredited. I'm not certified. I'm not licensed anywhere to perform psychological or philosophical counseling. I can say I know I've helped people, according to people who have said to me that they've been helped by me. And anything I ever say in a Stoicism stream, including this one, I practiced or applied myself in real world situations. I've been through plenty enough fucked up stuff. Okay, I haven't gone through all the fucked up shit in the world that there is to be fucked up by, but I've had a heaping helping. Let me tell you what. I've gone through some shit. That's definitely tested my resolve and you know, giving me the opportunity to be like, okay, well this shit just doesn't work when the actual S hits the fan. So let me just like systematically abandon it. I skipped the coffee, went straight to 2 16-ounce monsters. My man, I'm sure that your heart's not gonna explode or your liver. I'm not a doctor, so you know, maybe both. Philosophical guidance is a thing. It is. There are philosophical counselors out there. It's something that you can get licensed to do. I have not been. I've heard that it takes about 6 months. There's not anything necessarily stopping me from going out and getting, except for the time expenditure. And I figure that if I can help people now, I might as well just do it, you know, in the socio-cultural arena that is twitch.com or twitch.tv, sorry. I forgot the name of my own independent contractor site. I'm just gonna do it here. And then it's easier to just say, hey, I'm not a doctor. Seek out medical, social, psychological professionals. If you feel like you're a danger, you represent a danger to yourself or others at any time, blah, 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 so on and so forth. There's no minimum or maximum amount of time that this thing is going to run. Historically, it's been about 2 hours. Welcome in, Crucian. I appreciate it. Enjoy your lurk, Rachni. Rachni, did you ever fix that flooding problem I think you told me about when you had to lurk last time? You said something about your roof leaking. Hopefully you got that sorted. And if so, just ignore me. You have to respond to me. Don't respond to me at all. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. It typically about 2 hours is how long this thing is going to run. And then afterward, assuming that I'm still feeling perky, for lack of a better way of saying it, because there's definitely better ways to say that, then we're going to shift gears enormously to RimWorld, where viewers are going to be colonists, and that's going to be fun. And it's going to be extremely slow trickle of colonists, because you don't really get 80,000 colonists per second. Typically, the game throws you a bone occasionally, but it doesn't exactly mag dump people on you. So we'll just have to play it by ear and use that big fuck off random selector wheel that we were before. I'm just going to keep... Occasionally, I'm going to stop. I'm going to look at the anonymous feedback site, read questions off of it, try to answer them in real time. But if at any time anything is said and you have questions later, I'm literally just a Discord DM away. Most streamers, completely understandably, will say, do not come into my stream and trauma dump or try to bring the stream down and so on. For me, I thrive off of helping people through very difficult situations. So if you and again, I'm gonna re-preface and say that I'm not a professional. Okay, so if it seems like those avenues are more effective for you, absolutely seek them out. But I will never turn anyone away that has a question if I'm possible to answer it. And if I can't answer it properly, I'm not going to wing it. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not versed enough in this or this thing in order to give you a answer that is appropriate, but I'm going to do my best. Well, no, I'm just getting hyper. The guy came over, went to the neighbor's bathroom. Apparently the water's from there. The guy did not check in with me after I heard him hammering in songs, so I have no idea where do kittens come from. That's a good question. They come from mama. They come from mama cats. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not a biologist or a geologist. I don't know. So when the time comes that we're gonna swap over to RimWorld, we're gonna do like a 15-minute break, and then go from there. And then we'll just play it until I don't feel like playing it anymore. Essentially, because it's Saturday. A lot of what's gonna come out of my mouth is gonna feel heavy or intense. Welcome in, Sumi Asami. Shout out. I need to start shouting people out. Shout out, Jokers. Fame time. Shout out, Sumi, Sami. A lot of this is going to feel heavy or intense. If you have any questions about anything, like I said, reach out to me. Shout out, Rachni Killer. And shout out, I Lloyd Tupo, who is a fellow philosophically inclined person. Always good to see more of them. Thank you for shouting me out. You're so good, No Flow. What the fuck? From left field, being the best support known to man. You know, you would make a great main healer as a summoner. You know that? Shout out. I Lloyd VTuber. Okay. So lastly, before we get started, why am I doing this? It's because I owe a debt, simply enough. I owe this movement, the philosophy, these people from thousands of years ago for who I am, and the belief that I can actually become the type of person I've wanted to be since I was a kid through my own efforts. I owe it to people that have been going through what I did the majority of my life, hopefully to help them, give them the tools they need in order to help themselves, improve themselves, and that they don't feel comprehensively, utterly, constantly lost or alone like I did once. It is a goal of mine to stream part-time, and if we get there full-time, so I have as many opportunities as possible to impact people that are suffering. If I continue to help even one person with every stream, I consider accomplishing my core goals, no matter how much or how little money flows through the channel, or whether I float 1 million followers or 1,000. So with that, we're gonna get started. What's the difference between 11 and 14 anyways? Let me answer this one real quick. 11 is... 11, this is really low-hanging fruit for me. But 11 is the Dark Souls of 14. The best way that I can explain 11 and 14 to you is in terms of like sandbox and theme park. 14 is like an amusement park or a theme park or like a really big fair. It has lots and lots of very cool, flashy, colorful things to do. And basically, if you want to, you can just get on the biggest ride that you want. And it's amazing looking, and it feels great, and it moves fast, and it's just it's what the dopamine, endorphin, serotonin centers of your brain want, and as much and as often as you want to tap into it. It is giving you the impression of freedom through the 800 million activities that are present for you. Final Fantasy 11 is a sandbox. It's like a true sandbox. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your friends. It doesn't care about your family. It is unbelievably willing to have you so off the rails that you can't even see the tracks themselves anymore. Every NPC that you try to get a quest from are vague as hell, or they give you curt Dark Souls-y answers, such as you walk up to NPC number 978 and you say, "Hello, sir or madam. I am adventurer. I am here to do adventurer things, and I would like a quest from you." NPC number 978 responds by saying, "If only I had something to spice up my kitchen." Okay, I made a face towards the camera as if you would be able to tell that. I would like something to spice up my kitchen, and then you say, "Okay, what would that be?" And then NPC number 978 says, "I don't know. I'm thinking something slimy." And that's it. That's it, brother. You have 800 billion items in the game, 800,000 locations in the game, 800 million NPCs in the game. One of those locations, one of those items, one of those NPCs is the next person that you have to talk to. Get fucked. And then, as it turns out, you need to go to like this extremely you have to go deep into the booty hole of some random cave that you've never been to or thought existed before, kill a monster 80 times to have like a 20% drop rate item basically fall off the body of the thing, and then you take that back to the person and they're like, "Oh, thank you. Here's the equivalent of 50 cents now, given today's economy." And like a bronze dagger for reasons, because I happen to have an extra one. The game is about overcoming and bonding through mutual suffering with other adventurers. The game borderline requires you, except for the most part for one specific job called Beastmaster, but for the most part, the game requires you to participate with other people to accomplish objectives. There's no way around it. You have to seek out other people. It is old school as shit, at least with some of the private servers. Retail is different, but with the private servers, for the most part, they're geared towards classic, as in like the classic experience of what was it like in 2004, take me back. And 2004 was like, you don't know what you're doing, You don't know where you're going. All you know is that you must kill and that other people are in the same boat. So, you know, start asking around. There's no raid finder. There's no group finder. Nothing like that. How do we ban this man for hate speech? 11 is the original Final Fantasy 7 and 14 is the Final Fantasy 7 remake that nobody wanted. Yeah. Now, there's plenty of people that love Final Fantasy 14. Okay. Final Fantasy 11 community does not typically, very generally speaking, does not typically think highly of Final Fantasy 14. We'll get to the Stoic stuff in a minute. Just let me cook. They typically don't like Final Fantasy 14. I don't think that the Final Fantasy 14 people even know that Final Fantasy 11 exists. I truly like, and within the Stoic is demonstrating hype man skills. I do. What, that you're playing Final Fantasy 14, that you're aware that Final Fantasy 11 exists? Are you playing both, Sleep Monster? Also, welcome in. Yeah, no, just a dabble, do you? Yes, no, maybe so. All right, what's our Stoics? What's the Stoics' role towards the world? What are we doing? What is happening around us and to us? How do we navigate it? How do we make sense of it? I tried to play Final Fantasy 11 back in the day. You can still go back. I can never figure out how to get off the boat and said fuck it. That's honestly fair, dude. Honestly fair. That is what happens to people. I tried to get my older brother. Let's go back to Final Fantasy 11 hours. I tried to get my brother-in-law into Final Fantasy 11 because he knew that it existed and he wasn't afraid on paper of really difficult, obtuse games, which, you know, describes Final Fantasy 11 to a T. And I said to him, I was like, just so you know, everything that you take for granted in Final Fantasy 14 is not in Final Fantasy 11. Final Fantasy 11 is so unwilling to help you outside of like very specific NPCs that you have to know to talk to help advance your journey or even to contextualize it. I said it in more dumb terms than that, not because he needed the dumb terms, but because, you know, I didn't talk like this to him. I was basically saying like Final Fantasy 11 is gonna seem hostile to you. It's going to seem to be rejecting your every attempt to try to learn it or try to play it. And part of the satisfaction is Dark Souls type satisfaction of hitting your head against the wall until it breaks before you do. You never figure out how to get off the boat and said, fuck it, I mean, I'm down to try, but 14 is my crack. I had a teacher in high school that played Final Fantasy 11. He was narcoleptic. I get it. You're cooler than me. The private servers are very, very well populated. There is one called Horizon 11. If you're looking for the OG experience and no shortage of people that are willing to help you, Horizon 11 is your best bet. It's also the most professionally, in my opinion, set up of all the private servers. I played on a couple of them, but Horizon 11 is by far the best and most stable iteration of them all at the moment as of writing. So that's what I would recommend to you. It has about it floats about 2,300 people now, which for a literally 20-year-old MMORPG that fights your every attempt to get meaningful engagement out of it is pretty good. You're going to have no shortage of people to party with or to group up with, because partying in this context doesn't mean booting up a group finder. It means doing /C, SEA, not C as in the ocean, but C all. That's the abbreviation for it. And then you checking each job by their abbreviation and the level range, and then you trying to find somebody to group up with one at a time. I'm a huge slut for painful mechanics, so I love party leading in Horizon when I was actively playing it. 11 likes to make you run a literal hour to get one chat dialogue and then make you run back to your original spot. That's not always true though, NoFlow, because you could spend like 3 hours in order to get a shortcut that would make that literal hour go down to like 45 minutes. So if you do that same trip like 10 times, it's almost like you're making time from nothing. I also like to explore that the world is so hostile to you that even just looking at something that's different feels like an accomplishment. But we could talk more in post about the specifics if you want my fuller experience. I love Horizon 11. I think about it all the time. It lives rent free in my brain. So it's a matter of when and not if I'm gonna get back into it. Because they're going to, at some point this century, they're going to release a reverse engineered expansion called Treasures of Ottergon, which has by far my favorite class of all time, which is Blue Mage. Like you would imagine from what it says on the tin, you learn specific abilities from monsters. It's an exorbitantly painful process, like a whole bunch of other Final Fantasy XI stuff is. But you feel like a badass literally all the time, and you can get away with shit that you just can't otherwise. Actually, kind of like that. It's like to explore. I guess it would be like me in Classic WoW. It's like going back to an abusive household. True. It's not. Where's the joke? Where's the lie? Where's the lie in that? Sometimes you just like getting your ass beat. Some people are into that. And apparently you, I, NoFlow, and whoever else that happens to be lurking in here that plays Final Fantasy XI are freaks. We're freaks. We're freaks. We love it. We love a good spanking. Thank you for being here, Outermost Ghost. All right, before I devolve further into nonstop speaking, let me grab one of my 8,000 drinks that I have around. So the drink array that we have for today, this is the first time I'm doing this, I'm pretending like I'm doing it the whole time, is Ghost Energy Drink, sour green apple Warheads brand flavor. We have Gosling's ginger beer, non-alcoholic soft drink with a refreshing zip of ginger, and then about 16 ounces of coffee. So I think that we were pretty set. Oh, and I also have for snackies, I have emergency croutons because my wife got like a big ass salad once, and she got like 50,000 packs of croutons but doesn't eat them or use them. So basically they're like emergency fallback, like hard bread for me to basically like hardtack, like a pirate hardtack for me to tap into if I need it. Okay, so Marcus Aurelius, Stoic Emperor, one of the 5 good emperors. Do not be carried along by the appearance of things. Give help to all according to your ability and their fitness. And if you've sustained loss in things that are indifferent, don't imagine this to be damage to you. Fortune is assigned to a man by himself. It consists of a good disposition of the soul, good emotions, good actions. It's our first responsibility as practicing Stoics to try to understand the way that our mind works, and to try to configure the way that our mind works in such a way that we're not getting thrown around randomly by the tons and tons of shit that happens to us on a daily basis. Once we've established that sort of meaningful through line to our own brains, we are able to go through life just doing the normal human things that we are now doing in like a modern, in the modern day, without fear that we're going to overstep in some way or overreact or get fucked up by something that seems to be happening suddenly and we weren't prepared for it. Being a Stoic necessarily means a level of active participation in the world around you that wasn't there. For the most part, and this isn't our fault, for the most part, our lives consist of kind of just reacting to things, of just being bombarded by stuff that seems to be happening or news of what seems to be happening, media, articles, shows, movies, stuff like that, all around you. You are, as a Stoic, trying to get yourself to a frame of mind where you are actively engaged in what's going through you emotionally, what is the basis for your own thoughts, what your judgments are, what habits you formed that's causing you to be inclined to act the way that you want to act when such and such happens, and so on and so forth. Everything in life, positive and negative, can have a lesson drawn from it, can have something constructive pulled from it. It's important to our progress as practicing Stoics to try to take advantage of this when and where possible, as much as possible, to try to glean some sort of meaning, some sort of lesson, some sort of self-improvement from whatever it is that's in front of us. in practicing Stoicism, you're trying to serve as an example to other people. Not because you depend your peace of mind on what they think of you, or that you are trying to virtue signal and be like something that other people, that you are aware other people like look up to you. That's not the point. It's not having that sort of misplaced pride. The point is that you are a social rational animal. You recognize your design by the powers that be, whatever those powers happen to be, to try to be a good person and to try to naturally encourage other people to be good people by showing that it is possible to be content. That it's possible to find some amount of peace just from trying to do the right thing for its own sake whenever an opportunity comes up, regardless of whether you're going to be rewarded or punished for it. So in practicing Stoicism, you're serving as an example. Others might be watching. Some of us more than others, just because of the typical positions that we're holding, are in a fishbowl. Other people are looking up to us. Other people are looking at us. They're watching what we're doing, how we're doing it, and so on, whether or not we're aware of it. And it's helpful. It's helpful to be cognizant of that because it also helps, round out the idea that I have been put in this place by whatever causes and effects happen to have led me up to this point. Whatever the butterfly effect is that landed me this job or this role. I am in it now as opposed to anyone else. So I'm going to use it to the best of my ability to try to improve people's lives. And so in so doing, to try to improve myself at the same time. Internally. If other people are inspired by you, they might seek out advice from you. The respect that you gain through trying to do the right thing for its own sake is going to reach people in ways that you might not expect, in ways that you might not even be aware of or ever become aware of. You have the opportunity to show other people that it's possible to draw contentment and peace from nearly any situation. If you stumble, you can show how to regain yourself. If you don't make a show of it, in any case, there's going to be a couple different benefits that are going to come out of it. You're going to be combating any reliance you might have on whether other people are praising you or not, and you're going to help other people learn how to become more psychologically independent when their own stuff happens to you. People have said to me in the past that when different shit happened, like when I got my laptop stolen, like not even 2 days after I bought it, or when I happened to be in some kind of torrential downpour outside and a truck didn't see me, and I was basically like, I wasn't hit by the truck, but I was essentially forcibly relocated by the truck, that they see how you react. And they think to themselves when they're in their own position, well, if Stoic didn't freak out, or Sleep Monster didn't freak out, or NoFlow didn't freak out, or Outermost Ghost didn't freak out, there's probably a reason, and maybe I'm overreacting to these same circumstances, and so I'm going to do my best to also not freak out, and then in so doing, they're helping themselves. They're recovering themselves. Now, it rarely is ever, just like in Final Fantasy XI, very few things are accomplished purely by ourselves. It's absolutely okay to seek out help from other like-minded people. Absolutely do that. Do not hesitate to do that. Marcus Aurelius himself said that, when you're doing like a siege or something and you're part of like a soldier column, you can't climb over the walls by yourself. You need help from the people that are beside you in order to go in and do the thing and capture the flag and then hit the gritty on top of the He didn't say hit the gritty. Marcus Aurelius from 2,000 years ago probably did not say hit the gritty. I'll check out Horizon later once I'm Border 14 after the expansion. It just came out, right? I wonder how quickly people are gonna move through it. Hello, Stinky Bald Man. Hello, freaking hot voiced cat girl. I think you're a cat girl. Right? I'm gonna control click on you. I mean, you're a Quickborn, right? Not a cat girl? Fox girl? Let me check. It's been a minute. Give me a second. What is this? Give me a second. Give me a second. What is this? What's this? What are these? Sorry, you can't see it. What's this? Huh? These don't look like any quick word ears to me. You don't look like no quick word ears to me. Who are you trying to lie to right now? You trying to bamboozle me? Is this function? Oh yeah, okay. Never forget the skibbity Riz while you fight in the arena. He did say that. I'm proud of you for remembering that direct quote because they're cute. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not actually like coming at you. It's fine. You can be both. You can be a quick learn. You can be in your heart of hearts. Okay, so you're trying to help yourself build up a mental groundwork from which to operate, from which to just exist. Welcome in, D-Bolt. Good to see you. Don't cry. Don't. Oh my god. Why do people cry within like 5 seconds of interacting with me? I don't get it. I think it's the kids that are wrong. You're trying to help yourself by building up a mental groundwork from which to operate and then to help other people. It does not matter the number of people that you help. Okay? Whether it's one person or 1,000, 500, a dozen, even if it's just yourself. The trying is what matters. The trying to take this stuff and apply it in the moment is what matters. It's always possible to try. The attempting to try to help yourself to self-improve does not take any resources. It depends on your attitude, your best use of whatever resources happen to be available to you, even if they're very limited or even if they're non-existent. Every job that you take up is an opportunity to exemplify your different characteristics, your virtues, to show people what it's like to be in whatever position, doing whatever it is that you're doing, and be fine, or even thrive, or to draw meaning from any of it, to show people that it's possible to be patient, even if somebody comes flying through the front doors of your frontline internet, cable, sales, TV establishment and throws a piece of random cut cord onto the counter and then starts yelling at you. What is this? I don't want to see this again. No context, just loudness, just a red beat face. If you could show that you're patient when dealing with the public, okay, everybody notices that. Everybody notices that. Every well-adjusted person, except the person that is flying off the handle at you, notices you doing this, and will also try to model it in themselves at least a little bit. I can almost guarantee you that, unless their personality is such that they just are so self-serious or self-absorbed that there's only so much that you can do to help a person like that. Whatever it is that you're dealing with as part of your normal job, the objects, the events, they're different in themselves, but the way that you try to make use of them, the way that you try to improve yourself, the constructive use of them is not. If you are every day trying to make the most of what you have, to try to reduce the suffering of other people, improving their quality of life, you're making progress. As a person, not even as a practicing Stoic, okay? Because you don't have to subscribe to being a Stoic. You don't have to fill out the form, not that there is one to fill out, but you know what I mean? You don't have to start referring to yourself as a practicing Stoic or a Stoic, or say to whoever is going to listen, not that I'm suggesting this, because it's actually a good idea for you not to do that, because it's virtue signaling is not good for different reasons. But that you're just helping yourself. That's primarily what should be at the forefront of your brain. Is, am I becoming a better person by doing this action? And I'm going to try to do this thing for its own sake, because it's the what seems to me, based off of the circumstances and the knowledge that I have and the time frame with which I have it, that I'm able to assess it, seems to be the right thing to do. And nobody can take that away from me. And if you make that your basically your day-to-day, moment-to-moment through line in your brain, you're improving yourself. You are helping yourself, and indirectly you are also proving to other people that it's possible, for one, to think that way, and two, that maybe there's a reason you're thinking that way and that you should try to do the same. And then everybody's well off because we're all trying to be communally well adjusted. And there ain't no negatives there. Ain't no negatives. Make this your mindset from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to bed. That you are trying to not become perfect in thinking this way or reacting this way. You are not trying to become perfect. You are just trying to make it. You're trying to make something more of your moment to moment just persisting or existing. Okay, let me take a small glancy Rooney at the Telegram to see if anybody submitted any questions or statements or anything like that. From ... 44 minutes ago, how do we separate ourselves from our feelings based on Stoic principles? I might have started developing feelings for somebody who didn't correspond, and now I'm suffering because the attachment itself to they who already told me no but kept me as a friend is ripping me apart. This is definitely a tough one. Unrequited love or feelings is definitely a huge toughie. That's a really difficult thing to work through. I would say, having been in situations such as me thinking that I was in a great relationship and it turns out that the other person was trying to see somebody else on the side and just sort of like ripped off the Band-Aid one day and said to me, it's not you, it's me. I'm gonna take this time to grow. And then their Facebook relationship status changed like a week afterward to it's complicated. The thing to keep in mind, the thing to remember, the thing to try to push into your own brain as hard as often as possible is that our feelings, everything that we feel, everything that we think is based off of our judgments. And there's also a mix in of habit on top of that. Habit of reacting or seeing other people react to similar situations over and over again, such as we try to fill in this blank if we don't have direct experience ourselves. So the feelings, there's no way to turn the feelings themselves off without looking at what is causing you to feel that way and to try to reconfigure it, to try to turn it into something constructive. So whenever we feel anything about any person or anything in life, it's because we have a judgment tied to it. So for example, I felt the way that I did about that person because I believed that it was best for me to feel that way about them based off of what I was looking for at the time, based off of the belief that they had some sort of set of qualities that I couldn't find in anyone else around me, and that it was a net benefit for me to be with this person that I thought shared the same feelings with me, but apparently did not. For one, you have to keep in mind that the other person is also operating under these same rules, these same mental rules. They are looking at their circumstances. They're looking at their own judgments. They're operating off of their own judgments, their own habits, their own ways of thinking, and so on. The only thing that is capable of overriding a person's choice is their own choice, and that counts for this person that you're thinking about, that you have feelings for, and it counts for you. The qualities that are in this person, I can guarantee you, and this is going to sound like I'm making up there's more fish in the sea type argument, and partially that is part of what I'm saying. The qualities that you're seeing in this person are all around you. They're all around you. And so statistically, it is likely that you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be going about your daily business in such a way that other people that may also have these same things that they're looking for as you, they're going to notice you. They're going to notice you, and then you have to just try to try to interact with them as naturally as you can, with a big ass caveat, which is the 75% of the rest of what I'm trying to say to you. Basically, I am making like there's more fish in the sea type argument that you feel as strongly about her or him as you do right now because of the belief that is being self-instilled, at least to a huge degree, that this person is representative of specifically what you're looking for, and that there's no alternative, which is not correct. There absolutely are other people out there that have these same traits that you're looking for. It just so happens that it feels so severe that when something is missing in our lives, our caveman brains just try to overcorrect and try to force the thing that we would like to see happen to happen. The other 75% of my argument is that it is important now, more than at any other time, in your life, to learn to be okay with existing by yourself, to come to terms with who you are as a person, to try to grow yourself as a person. You don't need other people in order to be proof of your self-worth. You don't need to be in a relationship in order to feel as though you are complete. Who you are as a person in this moment it has overwhelming application. So I would look at it not as an opportunity to try to cut off this part of you. I would look at it as an opportunity that the cause and effect, the powers that be, destiny, fate, whatever, what have you, are giving you this very difficult situation, and are trying to see how you react. Okay, if we take it into consideration that cause and effect might be like sentient or whatever, or that there's such a thing as destiny or fate or what have you, that you're presented with this huge problem that is difficult, and if you try to take from this, not that you need to be with somebody else, even somebody that you feel strongly about in order to feel complete, but that it is possible to be complete in and of yourself. Because it is. It is possible. You should look at relationships the way as a complimentary thing to you, and not a way of feeling complete, or that there's an absence that necessarily has to be filled by another person. And trying to think that way, of saying to yourself, I feel this huge amount of pain, I'm going to see this as an opportunity to work on self-improvement, to try to stand upright despite the pain and show it that it does not control me. And then while you're recovering, in Stoicism, there's also the premise that you try to, as far as you can, as best as the circumstances allow, try to avoid situations or people until you are personally strong enough to tackle them psychologically. And I'm not saying that you should avoid interactions with this person forever. I'm not saying that you should that you should basically throw up like an iron curtain or something whenever a new significant problem comes up, because that introduces its own problems. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying that as far as you can, try to shut off forcibly in your own mind avenues to try to reach out to this person, to him or her. You're going to be screaming to try to say a thing, or to try to do a thing, to stand outside this person's bedroom with a boombox that you're blasting into their second story window. You're going to want to do shit like that. You have to will yourself to say no. If in this circumstance you are able to overcome this incredible drive, insane is not the right word for it, this incredible drive to try to fix this problem that seems at this moment untenable, if you show yourself that you can overcome that, at some point in the future, it's going to make you basically invulnerable to similar or less severe situations that are going to be coming up, because you're going to say to yourself, I chose me that day. I chose to try to self-improve. I chose to not let myself get thrown around by the storm to the best of my ability. I made mistakes some days, but on the whole, I tried. And nobody can take the trying away from me. Kind of blacked out there for a second. I'm hoping that was helpful. Generally, this is the streams while I play some SMT5 or SMT5 Vengeance, I'm assuming, maybe. It's a game that's on my radar, but I have too many games-itis. If I was planning on driving to see my parents, I would go 2 hours one way. That is a lot. Honestly, there really is. My abscess is Doge shaped, so I've got 2 of them. How does Stoicism deal with free will? Does it think it exists or it doesn't? It's this weird hybridization of free will, and shit is gonna happen because of the butterfly effect. In Stoicism, things are referred to as co-fated, which means that you, as a meat object, as like a flesh mech that's operating in a physical world, necessarily has to run into situations where you are going to be affected by something else that's existing in the same meat space. Okay, that's not how they say it in the Stoicism, but hopefully you know what I mean. You're a physical person. You're a corporeal entity in a world that consists of other corporeal entities. Necessarily, at some point, because 2 corporeal entities cannot exist in the same space, as far as we're aware, something has to give. Something has to move. Right? So it is, for example, taken as read that aside from like Bezos or Elon Musk that's gonna put their brain in robot bodies, we're gonna RIP in pepperonis at some point. It is fated that a human being, by virtue of being a meat person, that meat is going to expire at some point. Okay? That is just a thing that is going to happen. Now, whether we go to the doctor or to try to do regular exercise or to try to have a good nutritional regimen is going to improve the chances that that meat mech is going to last longer, but does not guarantee that it is going to live forever. That's the idea behind co-fated, is that you can... It's not fated that you or I are going to expire on this and this day, right? It's just that's the typical conception of like fate or destiny or whatever. We can influence things, become a cause in a massive network of causes and effects by trying to do things to the best of our ability. In Stoicism, you're trying to simultaneously acknowledge your constraints as a physical person in a physical world, while also not depending your peace of mind on the results of you trying to exercise choices to bring things about in certain ways. You are accepting what's called like the reservation clause, which is, I guess the best way of putting it is the way that Epictetus put it once when he was talking about Socrates trying to play ball. Welcome in, Rock. I'm assuming that you're trying to sell me the best viewers cheaply. Cheap viewers on u.to. Who called it? Who called it? Was it me? Was it me? I'm sorry, my friend. I believe that you're a bot, but if you're a real person, I'm sorry I have to do this. It's not you, it's me. It's complicated. 13. Yeah, there you go, my friend. Sorry about it. Sorry, not sorry. Hopefully I answered the question. All right, let me look at the telegram one more time. So yeah. Hope that helped. ... And if it didn't, just let me know, and I'll try to explain it in a different way. A different way that may or may not help. All right. Let's get back to it. Where was I? Gotta think about where I was. Okay, so every job that we hold is an opportunity to become the best person that we can be. This is true whether you're working a minimum wage job or if you're working in, I don't know, like a research lab or something. Objects, events that are involved are indifferent in themselves, but the use that you make of them isn't. You're trying to make the most of every situation as a way to self-improve and as a way to show other people that life is more than just a constant search for pleasure and avoidance of pain. It follows even if you have no free time at all. or seem to have no free time at all. You can improve yourself and help the improvement of other people. If you have free time, one of the things that you can do to try to bring about an improvement in the world while also combating your feeling of not wanting to be uncomfortable while you're doing the right thing is volunteering. You don't have to volunteer, it's just a choice. So as a real world example, even if I would rather play video games and so on and so forth, then there's nothing wrong with that, because even the most hardcore Stoics relaxed and did stuff. Even the ancient Stoics 2,000 years ago played Persona 5 Royale for fun in order to help them decompress themselves a little bit. I volunteered. I volunteered at a couple of places. There happened to be a special needs vocational training place that was near me. I worked in a thrift store that worked with people with special needs in order to help them get training in the workforce. I worked with special needs populations that helped establish exercise regimens or teach effective exercising to special needs populations. And I did that whenever my stuff was done in college. That was my personal experience. You don't have to do this. It's just something that you can do. It's an example. The Stoics suggested everywhere to try to be active in your community if you can. If it's feasible for you, if the circumstances allow it. And that you're not overly compromising yourself because you're bogging yourself down with so many things, even with best intentions, that you can't move. Because part of having a physical meat person body is that it does get stressed. It does get stressed. And so doing things or having some avenue where you just let it chill out for a bit is also basically practicing self-care, is essentially what I'm saying. The non-sexy kind, or even the sexy kind, I guess, is good. Is good for you. We'll learn a little bit more about Stoicism after going through Marcus Aurelius' recommendations to continue on this philosophical path. I have books, so I'm gonna put in my Discord here. Not shout out, Discord. That's my Discord. If you join it, there's a section called Stoicisms. There's a there's a bunch of pinned messages here, actually, but the latest pinned messages is all the Stoicism books that I read, used consistently to date. You can find most or all of these online through one means or another. I'm going to try to post it here now. No, can't do that. I would say that if you're looking for just like a general breakdown of everything about the philosophy, just do this one. That book is essentially as like a TLDR as you can get with the whole philosophical system, as far as like research and surviving texts allow. It even includes a bunch of stuff about Stoic physics, how this ancient Stoics understood their world, which is interesting from like an intellectual standpoint. But there's a lot that we've learned over the course of 2,000 years that make it so that I wouldn't pay attention to the physics parts as much. The logic parts includes things like what co-fated is and so on and so forth, like mental exercises and so on, like the reasoning, the logic behind what it is that I'm saying. But the ethics part, for sure, is by far the most helpful to lean on. And it also gives you about 8,000 different other possible book suggestions and whatnot. But if you go to the latest pinned post on Stoicisms on my Discord, you'll see all the books that I use or refer to. I mean, I've read through all of them to the point that, because there's only so many, unfortunately, there's only so many surviving ancient Stoic texts or biographies and so on. Zodiac sign physics, that's right, yeah. That's right. Like, they thought that everything was like, I mean, I guess you could think of it as like a sort of like an ancient interpretation of like the Big Bang Theory, but they were like, ancient Stoic physics were like, I guess that that there was just like a big explosion. There was a big explosion of fire, and so there is an element of fire in everything. Okay, that's what they refer to as pneuma, and pneuma is like the organizational property that affects everything at varying degrees of tension, and that depending on the type of tension that's in the thing, it determines what that thing can do, such as like rocks and so on, having very you'll understand if you look at it. Things that are neat to know, but not required for you to get mileage. Thanks. We'll see from here then. All right. Cool. And I'm always up for questions. Where was I? Let me check the Telegram one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything. Thank you for the spots that did help. I will try my best, but I have a hard time detaching. I believe we can still be friends, so maybe that's something I will need to work through because I don't want to cut off such a positive person from my life, but I will think about it and see if we can slowly drift away from each other. There's a couple of different ways to look at it. And this is the same person that asked the question before. If you can stay friends with this person, you have to basically preface to yourself that it is possible that it is going to cause you great discomfort. In fact, it's not even possible. It's basically guaranteed that you're gonna be caused significant discomfort by watching them do things that humans do. That their relationship is that you're going to see them in a relationship, you're going to see pictures of them, and so on. Pictures of them with the other person and the like. If you are able to navigate that, because only you can decide that for yourself. I can't decide it for you. I can only give you my suggestions based off of being a third party that practices an ancient Greco-Roman philosophy about 2,000 years old. I can only give you like imperfect suggestions that are not completely fitting with what's going on inside of you. I can only work with what I think that I'm working with, just like you can only know fully what you're feeling, how you're feeling it, why, and to what degree. If you can be friends with this person, that will make you stronger in a different way than what I was suggesting originally. Okay, it's just there are two different versions of you that have handled the situation differently. In either case, whether you are trying to stay friends with this person, or if you're not, if you're going to try to separate yourself from the person in a non-problematic way, okay, like not just like you don't want to try to basically like letting things fall away, not actively trying to push them away, because that can be problematic for its own reasons. In either case, whether you try to let things kind of fall away naturally on their own, or if you try to remain friends with the person, which is perfectly valid, but also depends on stuff that you don't have information on, you will be fine. It doesn't feel that way right now. It may not feel like that for a long time. You may have fits and starts of feeling absolutely not okay. But there is a version of you that has already adapted. There's a version of you in the future, and I'm saying this for certain because this situation that you're going through has been gone through not just by me, but by billions, literally billions of other people throughout the course of history. They survived, and so will you, necessarily. I guarantee you that at some point you are going to happen upon a relationship with another person. And this other person is going to have characteristics that may even impress upon you more heavily than this person that you're feeling strongly about right now. This is gonna kind of be out there, but there's a show that you might be familiar with called Better Call Saul. In Better Call Saul, there was something that happened that was very fucked up in the show. I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I do actually recommend watching it. But essentially afterward, one of the main characters said that it feels awful. It feels awful to be awake. It feels awful to be aware of this thing, of having this absence or this presence of this thing that seems horrible in this circumstance. Eventually, over time, you're going to think less and less about this current situation. You're going to think less and less about this current situation to the point where you are going to wake up one day and you're going to not have thought about this situation that you're feeling right now at all. Something else, and this is the last thing they'll say on it, unless of course you respond, in which case, you know, we'll keep throwing stuff around, which I'm totally happy doing. One of the biggest proofs that we volunteer a lot of the pain that we're feeling, not just in your specific situation, but in general, upon the things that are in our life, is that at some point we are going to be unconscious, right? We have to sleep. At some point we sleep. Yes. When we sleep, we are not thinking about that thing that happened. Historically, the thing has happened. It is happening. But by virtue of us being unconscious, we're no longer aware of that thing. It's not impressing upon us. It's not affecting us. When we wake up, there is at least a brief period, typically, where you're still not thinking about the thing. And when you start thinking about the thing and the feelings start coming back, it's at that point that you should say to yourself, I went the whole night not thinking about that thing. That the situation still happened, the people that are involved are still out there, the circumstances did not change, but I did not feel anything for this period of time. And that means that at some part of my core, I'm impressing upon myself that I need to feel this way, this strongly. It's just an observation that's helpful to think about or to take into context. It's not going to fully solve how you're feeling, but it's one of like the many micro helps that you can give yourself through the situation. How are we doing on time? It's already been an hour. Crazy how time flies when you're pocket out of your gourd. Stoicism is anything but passive. It's not reclusive. There is this running idea, thousands of years long, literally as long as the philosophy has existed, that Stoicism is about becoming unfeeling, or that about turning your brain off voluntarily, about becoming robotic, which is something that somebody said to me once. Never you mind that I appear to be like a mostly mechanical person right now. Okay, that's besides the point. But when I explained some of this stuff to somebody, they were like, "Oh, so you're trying to become a robot?" It's just how people react to it. Okay? We're trying to change the way that we feel about things by taking what we think is important, what we feel is important to us and valuable, and moving it from things that are outside of us to inside of us. So placing what we feel as valuable inward into like internally completable goals. We're trying to improve our own positive growth, to try to show people that it's possible to really think this way and to be this. The Stoics accounted for the intent and potential result of each of their actions and committing to them even when conditions change. We're trying to adapt our methods with whatever resources come about and stay consistent. We have within each of us the capacity to be a Marcus Aurelius, a Cato the Younger, a Musonius Rufus, an Epictetus, a Seneca the Younger, a Zeno, a Socrates. These types of people are rare because they took the philosophies to their they took them really seriously. They took them very, very seriously and explored them as thoroughly as their situations allowed. We don't need to be these people in order to feel as though we're accomplishing something in ourselves. Just the trying matters, but we have that capacity. We could do that by being observant of our nature as people, mindful of our skills and what we seem to be good at accomplishing, and to trying to mold our philosophical practice around that, and being diligent in self-training. Their ads are going to start in a couple of minutes. I'm going to take a potty break, and then we'll be back for probably another hour of this. If you have any questions, make sure to throw them in the Telegram. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I cannot guarantee you that the thing that is going to come out of my mouth is going to be completely, utterly, fully helpful. All I can promise you is that I'm going to try. That's that. If you like this so far, consider following. Every single follow helps out the channel mechanically, updates you when I'm around, it gives you a bunch of free emotes, so on and so forth. If you like this a lot so far, consider subscribing. Every single penny goes back into making the channel bigger and better somehow, either in the front end or the back end. I will be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go nowheres, or do. Hello? Hello? I'm back. I'm back, baby, I'm back. Baby, come back. You can never know on me. Alright, nothing new has been added to the Telegram. So let's get back into it. Stoics contemplated what the nature of nature is. We're trying to determine how to act in accordance with the way that things seem to work. Okay, we're trying to identify the overall design of all the shit that's happening to us, and to try to constructively become a part of the workings, the way that things seem to be. We're trying to it's dealing with some stuff that what I'm saying to you is difficult to conceptualize. I'm gonna struggle a little bit. There's gonna be a little bit of a struggle with us. We're trying to understand what the nature of nature is, how the universe works, why it works the way it did, like a little bit and piece of it that I kind of touched on was the idea of being co-fated. Okay, that's the sort of stuff that I mean, of having free will in a world that seems deterministic and has stuff that just sort of seems to happen. In Stoicism, there were disagreements about what the nature of the universe was. But there was one aspect that was consistent in all the arguments. The ancient Stoics believed that nature, as an entity, is comprised of all events that happen on the world, in the universe, and refer to it in different ways. They sometimes would refer to it as like God or gods, Jupiter, Zeus, reason, universal reason. But in each case, there was always this fallback term that was used called nature, with a capital N. And it's the same sort of nature as like when we say the words like that's just the nature of things, or Mother Nature. It's sort of like that. It's sort of like there's something implicitly, intrinsically in us that feels that this is a way that things naturally go in the universe, and that's sort of what I'm talking about. The position held by the Stoicism founder Zeno was that the universe is rationally ordered and alive, essentially. This version of the universe was said to be the best possible version, that there cannot be an alternative to the universe in which we now exist. And I'm saying that this is what the original founder thought of. I have my own thoughts, my own opinions. We'll cover that. Events, things that happen, are part of a massive webwork of causes and effects. In short, Zeno believed that the nature of nature is this thing that is the universe, that's active, that's intelligent, that's self-organizing, and like a self-regulating, basically biological system comprised of like stars and space and so on. He went further, saying that nature was conscious, okay, because of the idea, the philosophical idea that something that cannot have a property in it that it does not itself possess. Essentially saying that because human beings are sentient, conscious, and have the ability to reason, that the universe necessarily must have these same abilities. And that Zeno believed that the universe was able to arrange itself in such a way to try to maintain this kind of self-harmony that it's impressing upon itself. Lots of Stoics adopted this same position. Some Stoics adopted alternatives. The Stoics that disagreed believed that nature was active and organized and self-regulated system, but it wasn't alive per se. It wasn't conscious. It didn't have thoughts. It was just a thing. Essentially, it was just like a giant, for lack of a better way of saying it, and not literally. It basically was like a plant. It was something that did not have conscious thoughts. It was just doing things. And doing things in such a way that was according to this like underlying principle, this own design that it has. A Stoic can think of any of these and alternatives as being the case, as far as like what their belief, the nature of nature is. In short, the original orthodox very first impression was that the universe, nature of nature, was like what I said. It was basically like it was this conscious, self-organizing thing that knowingly does things in order to try to keep itself as healthy as possible, without necessarily having consideration for how all of its internal parts are affected. Other Stoics believed, like I said, that it's more of like a plant that is just doing things but not consciously, and self-organizing and so on. Yet other Stoics believed that everything is organized in causes and effects. That we as human beings happen to be what seemingly accidentally designed with the ability to reason and to be conscious in a way that other animal species are not. That is my own position. And then some other Stoics were like, okay, well, it's possible that everything happens completely randomly, and there's basically like a loose thread of connective tissue between events that are happening, which has its own problems. So my personal opinion is the third to last one, that I happen to exist, that you happen to exist as a human being with a self-organizing principle of being conscious and rational, and you're just here and you're living it, and you were born because your parents went to Funky Town with each other, and that itself was a cause and effect, and so on and so forth. It's possible that Zeno is right. It's possible that the universe is rationally ordered, that it's animated, it's intelligent, conscious, self-organizing, self-regulating, self-perceiving, and providentially arranges events with itself according to what seems best for its own inner workings. There was a Stoic called Chrysippus that framed the Stoic claim that human free will coexists with a deterministic universe, which is like the idea of things being co-fated and so on. The things that are fated are events that necessarily occur as a result of the nature of the things that are involved. The things that are co-fated are events that are influenced through the exercise of free will. Both types of events are incorporated into a massive chain of causes and effects. An example of a fated event, like I mentioned before, is that a human being is going to one day die. Zeno believed in the Matrix? Kinda, yeah. Kinda, yeah.
Welcome home,
an example
hunter.
of a co-fated event. Thank you, Jen the Mithra, for following. I greatly appreciate it. An example of a co-fated event is taking a sick friend to a doctor. DA, the whole thing is my brother in Christ. The whole thing has been say something Stoics. Just, you don't even have to spend points for that. You're getting it for free. I mean, not necessarily for free because you're investing your time, and I also appreciate you being here. More harder. Shout out DA Soccer 6. DA is a super cool guy. I've known him basically forever, for as long as I've been playing on the Horizon 11 server. He's a very intelligent dude, very entertaining to listen to, very chill, relaxed. So if you want to watch somebody that plays Final Fantasy 11 Classic regularly, and is happy to explain aspects of the game for basically as long as you'll let him, absolutely, go follow him. Femir Stoic knowledge trying. Is this where Scientologists got Xenu? Probably not. Actually, no. I'm saying probably not, but I know nothing about Scientology. The closest thing to Scientology that I'm aware of is unitologists from Dead Space. That's everything that I know about Scientology I got from unitology. Zeno is a religious figure who's believed to have brought millions of people to... No, Zeno is not. Maybe that's what they got? Believed to have brought millions of people? No. Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. What is it? L. Ron Hubbard? L. Ron Hubbard's R.I.P., right? R.I.P. and pepperonis. He also said that you could just make shit up and sell it to people, and if they believe in it strongly enough, then they're willing to pay you. I'm not saying that you should pay me. Okay. All right. I'm also not 2,000 years old. So What am I saying? I don't know if he did or not. I don't know if L. Ron Hubbard grabbed Xenu or Zeno from the name. It sounds similar enough, so maybe there's something there. You'd have to ask Elron. You have to reanimate him and ask him what his thought process was. The core idea. What the thought process that we're trying to instill in ourselves is that we are a participant in something. We're a member of the greater whole. Of something. Whatever the greater whole is, Iwu, we're a part of nature. Whatever nature is. The things that happen around us, the universe itself, the galaxy that we're in, is that we're just a incredibly small but active part in it. Acting as knowingly as a social rational creature means trying to contribute to the cause and effect series of things happening in a constructive, productive way. If we are trying to actively bring about goodness in the world, that goodness action, whether or not we succeed materially, is at least a little bit going to be a series of cause and effects. It's going to change the world. It's going to change something in the world that is happening. Now, it may not affect it in the context of everything everywhere all at once a lot. Or maybe it does. It's not the results that matter to us, it's the trying. Trying to act in a way that is contradictory to being a good person is the same thing as trying to willfully harm nature itself. Because there is an aspect of you being of nature that you are effectively chopping off. So you trying to exploit someone, or you trying to be aggressive towards someone to harm someone for some personal gain, you are robbing yourself of the one part of you that makes you stand out apart from other animals. You are hurting the social and reasonable part of yourself in order to get some sort of short-term gain. And that makes you, in some cases, worse than animals because animals don't think that way. Animals don't try to voluntarily harm themselves by doing things that are opposite of their design by whatever powers that be there happen to be. It's suggested that all cruelties, all miseries, all tragedies, and across humankind in our entire history is based on this idea that we have done something or are trying to do something, or somebody has done something or is trying to do something that runs counter to what their nature as a person is. That they're trying to force things in such a way that makes them as a person worse. So, war, theft, abuse, manipulation are the result of co-fated events caused by people that do not properly understand what it means to be human. Because if they did understand it, they would not do it. Everybody does everything that they do. You sitting here listening to a half-mechanical robot man on a Twitch.tv digital distribution platform because it appears to you that it is at this moment before you close my tab out and then go watch like League of Legends progression guides to go from wood elo to bronze. It's because it seems right to you to do in this moment. Anytime that anybody does something to actively harm who they are as a person, is doing it not because they're trying to be evil, but because they have convinced themselves erroneously that it is better for them to act in such a way that causes real harm to who they are by nature than it is to act in accordance with it. And the only way that these people can be helped is by having a proof that there can be more to life than short-term gains at any cost. And then if they're just convinced that they have to harm people or take advantage of people, then you have to try to stop them in whatever constructive way, or if they in the event that they're trying to actively harm people close to you or what happens, then you have, you know, the right to self-defense and so on and so forth. We're trying to get ourselves to a point where we're trying to self-improve first. We're trying to be an exemplar for other people, a role model for other people, even including people that might hate our guts. Okay, that's an important one. We are trying to become a good example, even to people that think that they are above us, or that we're below them, or that we are something for them to take advantage of for some short-term gain. That we are, by thinking this way, by acting this way, the best chance for these types of persons that we are trying to help, because that is part of the social aspect of our design by nature, whatever the nature of nature is. That's what we're trying to be. It's trying to do. Stoics argued that regardless of what you think, whether you have like a conventional contemporary religion of thinking that there is one God, or if you hold that there's many gods, or that you have that you think that whatever your conception of God is, that it does not change anything that I'm saying. That you are constructed with these different capacities by whatever the powers that be are. And so even if everything around you happens completely randomly, if that's the case, which is not great to think about, but is one of the things that they considered, by they I mean the Stoics, you should be thankful that you have something in you that is capable of piloting you. That's capable of trying to determine between what is right and wrong, and to make you less susceptible to when fucked up shit happens. And to not even just make you less susceptible, but to try to actively make something constructive out of messed up stuff that happens. If nature is conscious, observant of its parts, and is capable of influencing things in order to aid or strengthen and test the abilities of its various parts, by practicing Stoicism meaningfully, you're doing exactly what you should, quote unquote, be doing. You're making the most of each moment of your life, testing and expanding your limits, maximizing your potential as a human being. Using the time and the circumstances and resources that you have available. If it's true that nature is a self-regulating, self-organizing, and active system, but isn't conscious, kind of like a plant, you're still acting as you should, quote unquote, as a practicing Stoic, or even somebody that is just not considering themselves as a practicing Stoic. Like I said, you don't have to fill out a form. You don't have to join nothing. You don't have to join anything. It's not a cult. Hashtag not a cult. Right? You have within yourself a reasoning property that can account for your design as a human being and try to act in line with it. From that, you can draw understanding of the things that lead to peace and contentment, and what don't, or what doesn't seem to. It does not matter, quote unquote, in this case, that you are not being actively observed by a god entity, or several. You are self-observing. You are capable of aiding, strengthening, and testing your abilities yourself. The duties that you do, smile, for what reason, to what degree, remain unchanged. The third thought process was, nature is not active. It's not self-regulating. It's not self-organizing. That all things take place as a series of causes and effects that are trailing behind and extending indefinitely into the future from some original series of causes, aka like the Big Bang. Although there are things outside of your control, those things remain. There are things that remain within your control. This position, the one that I personally hold, that you're capable of influencing this series of causes and effects, that you're capable of doing that. You have the capacity to understand why things happen, what may influence future events, what resources you have available to try to bring positive events about. Each individual action you take, independent of how wealthy you are, or how powerful you are, or how many people happen to know you on on, or how many people happen to be watching me right now. It contributes to the flow of events. Okay. How many people are watching me? How many people will be watching me? How many people watched me in the past does not influence what I'm trying to accomplish here. Our nature remains rational and social. Actions that are trending towards these events all have benefit, all have fulfillment. The fourth consideration is that shit's crazy. Okay, that shit be crazy, that nature is not ordered, all things happen randomly, a series of happenstance things come together to produce varying events. This is not a pleasant thing to think that the universe is governed by or consists of, but the Stoic position still exists here. Events might be completely random if you think that this is how the world works, but the properties of your reasoning faculty are not. They are directed by you. Your capacities to make the most of these random events remain so. It occurred by chance in this context that we are capable of catching, interpreting, choosing our behaviors. Even if there's chaos everywhere, order is attainable within you, and holding to it affords the best chance of remaining peaceful, content, and resolute in which things be crazy. In each of the four considerations, your human potential remains the same. To make the most of yourself, to improve the quality of life for other people, to reduce the general suffering in the world. Without depending your peace of mind on, because this is an important one, to do your best to help people without overextending, for one. Because even Cato the Younger, one of the most well-known, well-respected Stoics, took vacations. Okay, it's important to keep that in mind, that you don't overextend, and that you act with a reservation clause. That you can do your best with the resources and the time that you have available, but in some cases, because of things that are happening outside of you that you have no true control over, it may not be enough to bring about what you would like to see. And that is okay. We're not depending our peace of mind on the results. We're depending on our peace of mind off of how much we try, off of what our best intentions are, regardless of our percentage to succeed or fail. This is our call to action. This is what we as human beings are supposed to try to do.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled.
Thank you so much for the subscription, Hero, otherwise known as Jukebox Arcade. Good to see you. Shout out, Jukebox Arcade. Hero is a super cool dude. Very chill, very fun. He revamped his channel to be a retro-focused, but not exclusively retro-focused channel. And he did a super good job with it. And he also has all sorts of very interesting, cool-looking redeems and such, and you owe it to yourself to go and see them yourself when he's live. All right, let's see just if there's any people that entered anything else in the Telegram. Looks like it. I have a lot to think about. A million thanks for everything said. If you're comfortable from 21 minutes ago to reach out to me, then absolutely do so. I won't turn you away. I won't. Anything that is said to me is kept in confidence, unless you're like,
Excuse me.
I'm gonna try to kidnap the president in Minecraft. Then I might have to, I might have to tell somebody. A total hypothetical here. Grippiest of Socks says total hypothetical here. Say I run a very popular online game. Let's call it Final Fantasy Slavin Horizon server, but I seem to be spending more time putting out fires, deleting negative comments, and trying to control and hide the actions of my staff who just seem to be the worst possible people than working on the things I promised players in my game. My game remains popular from a Stoic point of view. What should I do about these problems? And this was just now, so this is like hot off the presses. It is supremely difficult to be put in a position, or to try to be put in a position where you are indirectly and then sometimes directly responsible for the day-to-day well-being is too strong of a word, amusement, the actual words are failing me here. Basically, you're affecting people, yes, and you're aware of this, you're cognizant of this, And so because of your characteristics, you care about the people that you are affecting, which is good. The difficulty here, the biggest difficulty of your position, is that as the perceived number of people that you are knowingly affecting grows, directly or indirectly, you may also be impressing upon yourself a pressure of some kind. You might be putting upon yourself a weight that you feel responsible for all these people having a generally positive experience whenever they are interfacing with whatever it is that you're responsible for. And I get that. I get that. As a streamer, I also would be thinking, like, as a streamer and as whatever your position is in relation to Final Fantasy Slevin's Horizon server. Yours is a factor, based off of your description, is a factor of like 200 times bigger than me. The general effect that I may be having, just from a pure numerical person standpoint, like the number of people that we're affecting. However, it is a what I just described was like a problem of degrees and not necessarily of substance. The substance is the same. The substance is that you feel, understandably, that there is that you are not fully in control. That there are other people that are involved that may be trying consciously or unconsciously to do things that are problematic and make your job harder at best, and actively more difficult at worst. There's a few different things that I would try to think about in your position. The first one is, I'm going to borrow from Marcus Aurelius off the top of my head, so I'm paraphrasing here, bear with me. Let me cook. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor. Yes, Marcus Aurelius was an emperor at what is presumed to be, what is listed as the height of the Roman Empire, when it was biggest, when it was most populated, when there was a ton of shit going on. Marcus Aurelius felt what you and I feel by a factor of about 800 billion. Okay, that the number of people that he was directly and indirectly responsible for, it was beyond human conception. That within the limits of being a meat person, it is not plausible as an emperor with no internet, no cell phone service, relying only on the opinions and conjectures of people around you who may or may not be saying shit just to try to make sure things are represented in a rosy way. All right, goodbye, sweetie. I love you. You too. Enjoy your meal. Enjoy your flight. She's not flying. I just say this shit to her. What? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Goodbye. So, Marcus Aurelius had it way, way worse. Probably by a multiplication of like 1,000 more than you or I will ever experience, likely in our lifetime. And had about maybe like 1/100th of the advantages that we do in terms of communication and finding things out for ourselves. So we do have an advantage in a couple of different ways. But Marcus Aurelius did say in that circumstance that people are going to do shit that appears best to them, and they're going to do stuff that seems to run counter to who you think they are as a person. They are going to do things that will completely throw you off guard, that historically they just have not done before, or you did not think them capable of doing. And they do this because we have this impression that the people that we depend on, the people that we feel closest to, are a certain way. And this is one of the psychological things that we do because we have caveman brains, is that we map this idea of what we think other people are like, and then when they deviate from this concept of what we think they're like, we're like, okay, well, that's not like them. They I don't know why they're acting like this. So it could be difficult when people that we're supposed to be depending on seem to do things that are actively harmful to what we're trying to accomplish in good faith. And when you pair that with people that seem to be actively antagonistic, it can feel as though it's an overwhelming sort of what am I trying to say? Sisyphus. How do you say that? Sisyphean? Sisyphean? Yeah, Sisyphean thing. The guy, that ancient mythological dude that pushes up a rock over and over again and is doomed to push up a rock over and over again. The thing that you have to try to strip away from your brain is responsibility over the behaviors of other people. At the end, Sisyphean, thank you. At the very end of things, okay? People are going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to do it regardless if it makes sense, regardless if it seems to be productive, regardless if it seems to be helpful to them or even actively harmful to them. They do these things because they are so minded, because they feel compelled by their judgments, by their habits, by their desires, by their fears in that given moment, or in relation to some long-term goal that they may or may not have, to act in such and such a way. The only thing that you can control, and the thing that you need to invest the most value into just to make it through the day, to try to focus on the positive impacts that you are having on the people involved, is that other people are going to do what they're going to do. And they're going to do those things regardless of your best efforts. So the best thing that you can do is just to try to play ball. You try to play ball to the best of your ability. It's not whether you succeed in playing ball that matters. It's that you feel as though you, in this context, are able to bring about positive influence upon the world. That is the intention, and you have to focus on that above all else. Even if it gets difficult, even if it seems like a losing prospect. If it seems like you could invest somewhere differently, better, you can maneuver yourself that way. But ultimately, regardless of whether you are doing this thing in this game, whatever function this is, in Final Fantasy Slevin's Horizon, you can also accomplish it elsewhere. So you are not bound to run this game forever. You happen to be here through a combination of co-fated events. There happened to be a game called Final Fantasy Slevin Horizon that could be worked on or developed, and you happen to have a particular set of skills in order to do it. And so here is where you happen to be, but you are not bound to it forever. Basically, like if it comes to a point where you have assessed, not because you want to run away necessarily, but because you're like, I could be investing my abilities elsewhere, that's okay to think about. That's okay to contemplate. You are able, but if you happen to feel as though you can bring about positive effects in this circumstance, then that is what you should focus on. Is best intentions with the resources, the time, and the circumstances as far as it allows. And along the way, just like in the rest of life, people are just gonna do shit that doesn't make sense. They're gonna do things that seem antagonistic or even hostile to themselves or other people or both. But they don't have to have control of your brain. They don't deserve control of your brain. A person that is seemingly acting counter to what is sensible, You should honestly just feel sorry for them. That's an appropriate way to think about it. It's not I recognize that I gave you kind of like a mishmash of concepts there, but Stoicism is kind of like a web work where there's a whole bunch of like related parts to each other that gives it its strength, but also makes it difficult to explain out loud. So hopefully that helps a little bit. They did enjoyment of Final Fantasy XI Horizon 3, the Return of Horizon. Not today. It does have very pretty backgrounds though. Not today, but at some point in the future. I can almost guarantee it. All right, let's set this here. Okay, all right. So we've been going at it for about 2 hours. I'm going to park the Stoicism stream there. We're going to take probably a 10 to 15 minute break so I can walk around and do shit. Make sure that my dog is taken care of. Make sure that basically that my dog is taken care of. Dog is taken care of, that I have something in my system. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow. If you like this a lot and have the means, consider subscribing. Every single penny helps a ton. We're not done yet. We're just going to take a 10 to 15 minute break. We'll be back with RimWorld. I'm guessing 2 to 3 hours of it, because RimWorld has been living rent-free in my head for the last week or so. I had to actively stop myself from booting it up and just like tinkering with things. So it should be a good time. And then I'll have my RimWorld colonists become viewers roulette wheel up, where we'll randomly select people's names from the hat, from the wheel, whenever we get a new colonist. And that's fun because we get to watch you die through a series of unforced errors on my part. And who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love that idea, baby? All right, let me check one more time to make sure nobody posted in the Telegram. Okay. Alrighty. I will be back in 10-15 minutes. Use this as an opportunity to go feed and water yourself and turn your cells towards the light. And if you happen to be only interested in the Stoicism part of it, I will see you later, and thank you for being here. Alrighty, I'm gonna press the button. We'll be back in 10-15.